Have I got something for you guys tonight? How you doing? It's Divided and Conquered, and I have a video for all you stat nerds out there. Now, if you guys watch Colin Flaherty like I do religiously, I'm a glutton for punishment. What can I say? I like to stay informed. You'll often hear him say that, and make the argument, rightfully so, that playing a video and actually seeing someone kick the shit out of someone else, or you could see the news stories about murders and you see the pictures of the victims, it has way more of an impact on you than if I just throw a stat and I say black people are responsible for 50% of the murders. It doesn't really have the impact that watching a video where a black guy smashes someone's rear window out and the guy calmly goes in, reaches out, grabs a bongo, and turns around and smacks the dude in the back of the head where he falls and smashes his face into the concrete, losing most of his front teeth. That has a little bit more of an impact on people, and I agree. However, there are some nerds like myself who enjoy the stats, okay? I want to know the stats. I want to know the real numbers as close as I can to getting the real numbers. And as Colin says all the time, whatever the numbers are really way worse for many reasons. Intimidation, like he says, stitches for snitches, lower sentences, plea bargaining. There are all kind of reasons why. Unsolved murders, and we're going to look into that. So let's take a look here. What do we have here? We have November 11th. We have a Department of Justice report on homicide from 1980 to 2008. So this is a 28-year study. As you guys know, I should know, as when it comes to statistics, if you have a small sample size, what you come to as a result is going to be skewed. For example, if you play basketball and you have one game where you make 35 points, you score 35 points, you can't say, hey, I average 35 points a game. If you play 5 games and your average is still 35, it's still way short. It's not until you play 20, 30 games that you're getting more of a true average. So the larger your sample size, the more accurate your stat. With that in mind, let's look at this 28-year report about murder as it pertains to race. Now, there's a tendency these days, especially in these liberal cities, where the mayor, well, first of all, the mayors and police chiefs, the city councils, they're all liberals, and they're mostly colored or Spanish or both. You've got black mayors, like Baltimore's a great example, give them space to destroy. You have police chiefs who are, it's a political position where they manipulate stats, they lower the crime rates by not arresting people. There's all kinds of things that will show why these numbers are not what they should be. But this reaches back to 1980 when the cities weren't as liberal. Okay, so you're going to see how this has dropped over the years. Let's take a quick look at the homicide victimization rates. Well, look at here, 1980, 1990 is really high during the crack epidemic. Heroin all through the 70s. And yeah, that's a big problem today. But look at this precipitous drop-off. Well, let's take a look. What do we have here? All right, first thing I want to show you guys is, according to this, blacks are disproportionately represented. Surprise, surprise. The victimization rate for blacks, 27.8 out of every 100,000. That means you're 6 times higher, more likely to get killed if you're black than if you're white. Now, it's no surprise. I could scroll down. Let's see here. Bear with me. Bear with me. I believe it's 93% of blacks are killed by other blacks, and the white number is something similar. Let's see. And that's no surprise, because blacks live around blacks and whites live around whites. We'll get to it. Pardon me. Here we are. 84% of whites are killed by whites. 93% of blacks are killed by blacks. Not a big surprise. We live in a segregated country. Whites want to live around whites. Blacks want to live... Freudian slip. Blacks want to live around blacks. Okay? So when a white person murders someone, it's a good likelihood the guy he's going to murder or the girl he's going to murder is going to also be white. We live in a split society. How about that diversity, huh? Let me get a sip of this coffee. So, we're going to keep that in mind for later. I have a little something I want to talk about as it pertains to these two numbers, 84 and 93%. Let's remember that. So, let's look over here real quick. And what do we have? White on white crime. Wow. Black on black crime. They're both high because blacks live around blacks, whites live around whites. Now look at this. Black on white. This is a percentage, mind you. Alright, 20% of the murders are black on white. And look at how low the number is for white on black. It's less than 10%. It's about 4%. Okay, and that's for murders where the percentage is known. Now, let's go and take a look at this. Bear with me. Murder is overwhelmingly a male thing, obviously. About 90% of all murders are by men. That's not a surprise. I can always edit this later for this in-between time. Alright, let's go and take a look at the numbers here. Page 12. Aha, table 7. Here we are. Let's look. All homicides. Here are the victims. And here are the offenders. Okay? 50% of the victims of murder are white. 47% are black. Alright, well, where are the Spanish? Other. Let's see, what is other defined as? Well, other is defined as, if I could find it. I know it, but I want to show you what other is. Well, anyway, if it's not black, white, or Spanish, it's other. Pretty simple. Okay? Let's get back to my little chart. Oh my god, I'm way off here. Let's see. Alright. So, 50% of the murder victims are white, 47 are black. But you say, where are the Spanish? If other is everyone but white, black, and Spanish, then how do we figure out what the Spanish number is? First, let's take a look at this. The offenders. Blacks are responsible in this 28-year period for 52.5% of all the murders, and that's of solved murders. Whites are responsible for 45.3%. But you know what? That doesn't sound right, does it? I don't think it does. Let's take a closer look. What we have here is 2016 FBI. FBI stats for 2016. In 2016, there were 16,964 murders. 16,964. Okay. Alright. We have white people are responsible for, according to this, 5,004. Alright. Blacks are responsible for 6,095. Okay. Now, just to show you these numbers are legit, these numbers here should all total 16,964. Let's check that, shall we? Alright, 5,004 plus 6095 plus 291 by all those others plus 5574. Perfect. 6964. What is this unknown? My friends, that is the number of unsolved crimes. It's about 30% of the total number, isn't it? Well, let's just check. What do we have? 5574 divided by 16,964 equals 32. So let's say a third. Yeah, you could round it. Here's the 8, making that 33. 33%, 1/3 of all the murders in this country are unsolved. Unsolved murders. Boy, we got some problems already with these stats, don't we? So it just goes to show you can't just pull up a chart, look at it in 2 seconds and think you can figure things out. Let's do a little math here. Let's clear that out. If we have 16,964 and we take away 5574, guess what? We only have 11,390. Adjusted number equals, what was that number? Let's do this. 11,390. Okay, so now we have the true number. So in other words, if we were trying to find out what percentage blacks commit crimes, or murder that is, let's take it with the 16,000 number. Alright, what percent of 16,964 is 6,095? 6095 divided by 16,964. That equals 36%. Now, that's bad enough. But the true number is 11,390, right? So 6095 divided by 11,390 equals, round it off to 54%. This number reflects 54% of all the murders in 2016 were committed by black people. And that's not even talking about the 5574. Alright? How do we figure out how many people in this 5574 were killed by blacks? Well, if you recall, 93% of black murderers' victims are black. So, if we could find out the race of these unknown, unsolved murders, we could easily assume what the actual number is, right? So if 4,000 of this number are black, we just take 93% of that and we add it to this number, and the number would be way higher. Okay, so how many of these unknown murders, unsolved murders, do you think are in the suburbs versus how many are in the city? All right, so when a report goes out of a tall black male in a hoodie wearing all black, when that goes out, what are the chances you're going to find him? Well, the chances are 66%, because we've shown that if you want to kill somebody in the United States, you got a 1 in 3 chance of getting away with it. Okay? In this country, you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting away with it. Okay? So, I'm going to assume a large number of these are black. But what we're going to do, for the sake of fairness, we're going to take this percentage. This percentage we just figured out, 54%. Alright, 54%. Now, let's take 54% of this number and just say that if blacks commit 54% of the murders, we'll say they're responsible for 54% of these too, although I think it's higher. Can't show it, so we're going to do the conservative thing, and we're going to find out what the deal is. 5574 times 0.54 equals 3,010. So, let's add 3,010. Okay, 6095 plus 3,010 equals, oh, well, that's easy math. It's 9,105, right? 9,105. Is that correct? 5 and 1. Yes, that's correct. So, blacks killed, now we can do the whole number, 9,105 out of 16,964. Ladies and gentlemen, we just solved a good portion of the unsolved murders in this country for 2016. Now let's get this percentage. So, let's see. 9,105 divided by 16,964 equals, okay, 54%. Yeah, that's right. That would make sense. It would come out the same. But it puts the total number up. It's not really 6,000. It's 9,000. Okay, so of 17,000 murders, 9,105 were committed by 13% of our population. Blacks are officially 12.6, I believe. Let's just say 13% of our population. Okay? 13% of our population. Look at that. Look at that. 54% of all the murders in 2016 were by black people. That is terrifying. But is it little babies? Is it little black babies? Is it 10-year-olds out there? Is it 65, 70-year-old black people? Is it women? Yeah, about 10% might be women. But overwhelmingly, it's black men between the ages of 13 to about 40. And that's going to be smaller. The population of male to female in the black community, of that 13%, is about, I believe, 7% male. It's not exactly half. So let's say 7% male. Okay? Of that 7% male, what percentage of that are little kids and old people? Yeah. So really, if we want to pull a number out of our ass, we'll say about 4% of our population. 4% of our population is responsible for half of all the murders. So some of the murders are by females. Some of the black murders of this number are female and are younger than the number we're looking for. So let's say not 54%. Let's say 4% of them are done by young people and old people. And we'll say that half of all murders in this country are by 4% of our population. Ladies and gentlemen, I propose to you that it's astounding. If you got rid of black males, if overnight black males left our country, 54% of all the murders would drop, would disappear. Our murder rate would be cut in half overnight. If you just got rid of 13 to 40-year-old black males, our murder rate would drop in half overnight. And that's just murder. We're not talking about rape. We're not talking about home invasions, carjackings, aggravated assault. We are not talking about those. And those numbers are even worse than these numbers. Now let's turn our attention to this white number. What is wrong with this number? Well, the Spanish are missing. So look, 2016, remember, we're talking about this 28-year study. And it doesn't give us any Spanish here. It gives us other. And other is Pacific Islanders, Indian people. Well, what about Hondurans and Puerto Ricans and Mexicans and Argentinians and Brazilians and Colombians and Cubans? What about them? Well, they are considered Latino or Hispanic. Now, I want you to notice this right here. We have a little reference, don't we? Well, let's see what that says. Because it's telling us that of the 17,000, Hispanics only killed 1,533. So we're trying to figure out, because Hispanic and Latino are considered white on this study, it's telling us that 45% of those murders are by white people, and that is not right. It's not even close. All right? I have something for you here. Let's take a look at what that one means. Guess what? Not all agencies provide ethnicity data, therefore the ethnicity totals do not equal the total number of offenders. Wow, that's interesting. Very interesting. So, what they're saying right in your face is that this number is too low. It is too low. Well, luckily I was able to find something from 2013 that'll give us a little more accurate number. Alright, this is Department of Justice, FBI. Yeah, FBI. This is Hispanic and Latino numbers. Alright, right here we have murder and non-negligent manslaughter, whatever that is. There's a lot of equivocating. There's a lot of semantics going on here. Like, they're not a race. They're an ethnicity. Okay? Yeah, okay? Alrighty. It's telling us that for 2013, murder, manslaughter. Let's take a look. It's saying that the percent is 21.7. But guess what? We have another reference here, don't we? Oh, we're playing games, aren't we? Because of rounding, the percentages may not add up to 100%. Not a big deal. That is a small issue. But we also have a 2. Let's see, where is that 2? Oh, here we are. Ethnicity. Total. Oh, we got a little 2, so another reference. Joy. Same thing we saw in the last one. Ethnicity totals are representative of those agencies that provided ethnicity breakdowns. Not all agencies provide ethnicity data, therefore the race and ethnicity totals will not be equal. So, even this 21% is too low. If we assume that 2016, it's a little bit of a jump because, like we said before, we have a small sample size, so it's not going to be that accurate. But for 2013, it's telling us 21.7% of the murders were by Hispanics or Latinos. But we know now that that number is low because not all agencies report ethnicity data, and they just lump it in with white people. Just lump it right in with white people. Seems like there might be an agenda. I don't know, but I'll take my tinfoil hat off. So let's take that 21.7. Knowing that it's low, we'll generously and conservatively call it 25. Let's go back and take a look. 25%, right? Here, they are telling us the percent distribution is 12%? I'm not buying it. I think 25 is even too low. But for sake of argument, we'll say 25% of all these murders are going to be Hispanic or Latino as well. Right? So let's go throw that down here. Hispanic, Latino. We have, what do we got here? We have 25% of 16,964, correct, times 0.25 equals 4,241. Okay, right? That is 25% of 16,964. If that's real, if that's the right number, we could deduct that from this, couldn't we? Let me think about this for a minute. Could the white murders be really that low? I don't think so. It doesn't sound right. This reflects 12%. We can at least deduct that. Alright, let's say of all the murders, whites committed 5,000, but we're talking a lot of that is Spanish, right? Let's say 25% of this number are Hispanic, not of the total number, right? So let's say 5,004 times 0.25 equals 1,251. No, that doesn't make sense. I'll tell you what, let's go with the number that they gave us. Let's be conservative. 5,004 minus 1,533 equals 3,471. So, our adjusted number for whites equals 3,471. Okay, so out of 16,964, this many were whites are responsible for. But wait, that's not more. Just like we did with no, it is more. Excuse me. Excuse the phrase. If we take this 12% and we figure that of the unsolved murders, 12% are going to be Hispanic as well. Let's figure that out. 5,447 times 0.12, 0.2, oops, excuse me, 5,447, 0.122, oh Jesus, times 0.122 equals 664. I round it off to 665. Add the 665 plus 1,533 equals 2198. Okay. Now we get the adjusted Spanish number. The adjusted number equals 2198. What percentages do we have here? Well, for the whites, clear it out. 3,471 divided by 16964 equals 20%. 20%. Whites get 20% of the murders. Yay! Blacks get, what was the number? Oh, we have it right here. 54%. Spanish? I got you, mis amigos. What do we got here? 2198. I get along with Spanish people, mind you. Let's see. 2198 divided by 16964 equals 13%. So 13%. Let's add these numbers up, make sure we got something going here. 33. Oh, we have other as well. See, this is very difficult. So we have 74 plus 13 is 87. Where's the other 13% coming from? Well, it can't be other because that number is too low. Somebody's light. Somebody's numbers are light. Well, the truest number we have are black because the ethnicities aren't reported correctly, and whites get Spanish lumped in. So there's really not much confusion with who is black. So this is going to be your truest number. This could be higher. I got a feeling that both of these are a little higher. Maybe, let's say 22%. Let's say that other 13%. We'll split it between the two. We'll say, let's say this is really 22%, and this is really like 19%. We want it to add to 100%. We have the others. What percent? That's going to be a very low percentage. 291 divided by 16964 equals, damn, 2%. Well, that is something. Now, of the unknown, 2% are going to be other. Fun. Aren't we having fun now? 54, 47. No. What percentage? Oh, 5447 times 0.02 equals 108. We could add that to this. 108 plus 291 equals 399, and 399 divided by 16964 equals, alright, now we're still at rate basically 2%. So if other account for 2%, and we know that this number is lower, this one's going to be off more than this one, because actually this is probably going to be higher because whites and Hispanics are being conflated here, but not all the ethnicities are known or reported. So this Hispanic number, we saw this other chart right here where it's 21%. Let's call it 22. Alright, let's be fair. We'll call the Spanish, if other is 2%, Spanish is 22%. Okay, we got 24 plus 54 is 78. That's correct. 22 is right. 78 and 22 is correct. Well, let's make sure, because my math sucks sometimes. 22 plus 54 plus 22 plus 2 equals 100%. Okay, so what you're looking at here, whites commit about 22% of the murders, and so do Spanish. Problem is, whites are 60% of the goddamn population. Okay? 60% committing 22%. Spanish are only 17% of the population. Right? Blacks, about 13%. Wow. Okay. Now we're getting a clearer picture of what's going on in this country, aren't we? Here we have 60% of the population responsible for 22% of the murders. Here we have overrepresentation, 17% responsible for at least 22% of the murders. Now remember, between white and Hispanic, there's going to be an inverse relationship, meaning the higher this number goes, the lower this number goes, because they are conflated. Whites are now being considered, or Hispanic and Latino are now being considered white. What is going on in this country? Isn't diversity grand, huh? Drink it up. Enjoy it. Don't you love it? White people were 90% of this country in 1965. Is it amazing that once we look at these stats and you see those numbers rising and rising and rising, isn't it great? Isn't it great? Diversity is grand. Oh, I just love diversity. Isn't it great? Can't you wait until white people are 40% of the population, 30% of the population? The lower the white population goes, the higher the murder rate is going to climb. I just can't wait until more foreigners get here. Can't you? Now, an interesting thing about the population, 25 years ago, blacks were 13% of the population. They've been stagnant. They haven't, if anything, they've dropped a little bit because the entire number has climbed. So there's about 325 million people in this country now. And blacks, the total number has climbed, but the percent of the population has not. It's been stagnant. Spanish people used to be, I don't know, 10%, then they climbed to 15%. They're at 17% of the country now. Ladies and gentlemen, these numbers should terrify you. Terrify you. I don't care what race you are. If you're black, it should terrify you. Let's put some things into perspective here. All right? Look at this. When you're looking at per 100,000 numbers, it's something like 34 out of every 100,000 are murderers when it comes to blacks, and 4.5 out of every 100,000 of whites are murderers. Where do we have that? Bear with me, let me see if I can find that for you. Per 100,000, that might be right up at the top. Oh, look at this. Interesting. The homicide rate doubled from the early 60s, when it was 90% white, to now. Isn't that great? Isn't it grand? Isn't that grand? Oh, I'm just loving the diversity. In 1965, they passed that immigration bill and changed forever the demographics of this country. I do not know why white people are not screaming and hollering to have that act repealed, rescinded, done away with, kaput. It's enough. We have enough people in this country, and if you want to bring more people in, this is supposed to be a white country. Now, I don't care if you're offended by that. The fact is, I'm going to do another video, and it's going to be about the immigration policies of this country from the beginning to now. I've gone back and I've looked at the immigration bills. The Naturalization Act of 1790, 1798 in the 1800s, and guess what they all say? What do we want? We want white people of good character. When you came to this country, you had to be white, of good character. That was the intention of this country. It was never supposed to be a melting pot. That bullshit was started by, can't remember, some Jewish guy in the 60s did a play called The Melting Pot. And now they put it in our head that, oh, we're supposed to be a melting pot. No, we are not. This is a white country, and it's supposed to have been a white country. White people, you need to stand up and speak up. Or you're going to lose everything that you ever thought you had in this country. We're being victimized in this country by minorities. That's just the way it is. They talk about white racism in this country. Okay, let's say some white people are racist, but white people aren't out there killing blacks. We saw the numbers. It's minuscule. It is like 3% of all murders are white on black. All the rest of them are black on black, black on Spanish, Spanish on Spanish, Spanish on black. That's what's going on. Black on white, Spanish on white. We talk about white people are racists and we're out there crucifying black people. Get real. Get real. Look at the numbers. Just look at the numbers. Let's see if I can find this stat for you here. Here we go. What do we got? Victims and offenders per 100,000. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Whites. 4.5. And that's of the stats with the Spanish mixed in. Alright? The real number is going to be 22% less. So it's really going to be about 3. For every 100,000 white people, about 3 of them are murderers. Now, just to show you that hashtag not all, of the black people, 100,000, out of every 100,000 black people, 34 of them are going to be murderers. Alright, so in all fairness, what that means is that 999,066 are not going to be murderers. 999,066 out of every 100,000 are not murderers. However, this 34 is still high. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. 54% of all the murders in this country by black people. What's going on? What is it about black people that their rate is so much higher than any other race? Even Spanish, they're double the rate of Spanish. Spanish and whites have way more in common than blacks and whites. Spanish people can be integrated in this country far better than blacks. Blacks have been here a long, long time, and we still don't get along. We still do not get along. I wish it were better, but it is not. Okay? So, for every 100,000, about 3 white people are murderers, whereas 34 are black. What is the difference between 3 and 34? A lot. A lot. You know how many times that is? It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. In this country, if you're black, or if you're white, you stand a 40 times, you're 40 times more likely to be attacked by a black than the other way around. Blacks being attacked by whites. It just doesn't happen. White people are scared of black people. White people aren't out there hunting black people down in the streets. We're avoiding black people is what we're doing. Most white people are terrified of blacks. Terrified. And blacks know it. That's why they intimidate us and punk us out all the time. We know the deal. Black people aren't walking around white neighborhoods terrified of white people. Get real. Get real. That's like that ridiculous commercial for the guy running for office in the South with the pickup truck. You know, like white people are just running around the streets hunting minorities. Get real. Minorities are not terrified of whites. Any black man can walk through any white neighborhood any time of day or night and not fear for his life. But you try walking through a black neighborhood at nighttime or at any time and see if you come out See if you come out alive. Routine activity theory? Yeah, it's real. It is real. The problems in this country are incredible with this race. White people, you're being hunted. You are being hunted, but yet you are being told that you are the hunter. Get real. It makes me sick. It makes me so sick of what's going on in this country. When Colin Flaherty says denial, deceit, and delusion, that's an understatement. What's going on in this country is insanity. Look, this video's gone on far too long. I have so much more I want to say, but I've done enough for now. You guys take it easy. Think about these numbers. Share this video with somebody. Sit down, take the time, and listen to this video and contemplate these numbers. And realize that these numbers are worse than what we're showing here. I've done my best to elucidate these numbers, to show you guys what's going on. Now, you guys share this. Spread this. People need to know these numbers. Alright? Because the stats do not lie. Even though they kind of do, because they're really worse than what it is. But even this conservative number is too much. Alright? So when somebody tells you that white people are racist and we're out there hurting black people and hunting them down, no. We're trying to avoid black people because we're aware innately, even if we don't know these stats, we know that we are more likely to be attacked than they are. Alright? Guys, take it easy. This is Divided and Conquered. Drink up that diversity. Alright?